New Zealand's housing crisis has reached catastrophic proportions, casting a shadow of despair over the land of the Kiwis. With each passing day, the dream of owning a home in this once heavenly nation slips further from the grasp of its citizens. The crisis has turned into a perfect storm of soaring property prices, a severe shortage of affordable housing, and a glaring wealth gap that threatens to shatter the very fabric of New Zealand society. Skyrocketing prices have transformed home ownership into an unattainable luxury for all but the wealthiest. The average Kiwi family now faces the sad reality of spending an astronomical proportion of their income on rent, while a growing number of families find themselves homeless, living in their cars or crammed into overcrowded, substandard dwellings.
Due to the city's rental affordability crisis, they're living in cars, hostels, tents and couch surfing, and the problem is only getting worse. One Queenstowner fed up with the rental crisis has taken matters into her own hands, leading a protest of around 100 people last night.
The situation hasn't always been like this. It was much better in the 1930s when the government played a significant role in providing affordable housing to low-income families through the state housing program. It began in the 1930s and continued through the 1980s, with the government building and managing large numbers of rental properties. The prices were more affordable, with the average house price being just $25,500, which is ridiculously low as compared to the $1 million price tag buyers will have to pay today. The situation is different in 2023. The government still provides some affordable housing through the state-run program, but private sector involvement is much greater than it was before the 1990s. The costs have risen considerably faster than incomes, making it more difficult for a lot of people to afford a home. The government has introduced a range of policies aimed at addressing the crisis, including Kiwi Build, which aims to build 100,000 affordable homes over 10 years. However, these policies have had limited success, and it remains a major challenge for citizens and the administrators. There are multiple factors contributing to the crisis in New Zealand. Some of the reasons include rising property prices, rising living costs, property shortages, stagnant wages, and most importantly, the chronic shortage of affordable homes. Let's talk about this. New Zealand is facing a deep-rooted shortage of affordable housing. The average home in Auckland, the commercial capital, now costs 1.4 million New Zealand dollars. This is 35 times the average income of most households. In the last year alone, the cost surged by more than a quarter. The struggle to keep a roof over their head has led families into a cycle of poverty, as insufficient income is left to meet other basic needs such as food, clothing, transportation, medical care, and education. This is pushing them into homelessness, with people having to sleep in tents and cars and in overcrowded homes. The country's homelessness rate is the highest among the 35 high-income countries in the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. The decision of the central bank to keep interest rates high is a crucial factor in determining the future of New Zealand's housing market. The important question is whether interest rates will continue to remain high for a long time, or if they will start to decrease. This decision will have a significant impact on the country's economic outlook and the financial well-being of homeowners and buyers. If interest rates remain high for a long time, it will cause difficulties, especially for those who have large mortgage debts. Interest will be at least 6.5% on new loans, up significantly from what it was in 2020. This rise in interest rates has caused property prices to slide nearly 18% since November 2021, eradicating more than $6 billion in household wealth. This made home ownership less obtainable, and first-time buyers grab significantly less property in this time period. The market is also affected by supply and demand factors. The ongoing supply shortage and expectations for interest rate hikes will cause house prices to rise further next year. If this trend persists, it will lead to elevated unemployment, and the housing market will confront more serious issues. Surging unemployment rates will lead homeowners to sell their properties, inflicting additional downward pressure on the housing market. New Zealand has experienced one of the highest annual net immigration rates in its history, which has added complexity to the nation's economic situation. While immigration has boosted the overall economic figures, it has simultaneously led to a decrease in economic growth per capita. As a result, people are financially worse off in comparison to the economic indicators. According to a study, a 10% increase in local area population is associated with 4 to 7% increase in rates. Higher immigration increases house price inflation and residential consent issuance. The macroeconomic consequences, such as impacts on total economic activity, interest rates, exchange rates, and economic structure, are huge. The International Monetary Fund Executive Board concluded in 2023 2023 that New Zealand's economy is in the midst of a policy-induced slowdown following the recovery post-2019 recession. This came at the cost of overheating against capacity constraints, which was intensified by restrictions on labor movement due to border closures and disruptions in global supply chains. The external balance has also deteriorated significantly. This has simultaneously led to a decrease in economic growth per capita. The stock market has been facing challenges in recovering to its levels before 2019, and it has been below those levels for quite some time now. This lackluster performance is a cause of concern for investors and economists, as it reflects a lack of investor confidence in the market. It is an essential indicator of the broader economic climate, and a faltering stock market has a major impact on the property market. When individuals see their investments underperforming, they tend to be more cautious with their spending, which leads to a slowdown in the property market. This negatively affects the economy, as the property market is a crucial driver of its growth. Therefore, the performance of the stock market is an important factor to consider when assessing the overall health of the economy. Housing market is not the only one facing such problems. The overall cost of living in New Zealand is sky high. One factor that contributes to this is the food prices. As a country located in the southern hemisphere with a relatively small population, the cost of importing goods is often higher than in other countries. Additionally, local food production can be affected by extreme weather events, causing fluctuations in availability and prices. Its isolation also contributes to higher prices, as the cost of transporting goods to the island nation can be significant. Even though local produce is available, it may still be more expensive than imported goods due to the higher production costs and limited economies of scale. Stats New Zealand has reported a significant 12.1% increase in the food price index compared to the previous year, with fruit and vegetable prices leading the surge at 18.4%. Notably, avocados, kumara, potatoes, and tomatoes drove this increase. Grocery foods rose by 12.7%, while meat, poultry, and fish prices also saw a huge price hike. The rising food costs have left many New Zealanders concerned about their ability to afford essential groceries. The relative wealth and limited competition within the nation further drive these costs upward. With a small market to support businesses, there are often only one or two significant competitors within each industry, resulting in higher prices for goods and services. Electricity and power bills also play a role in making New Zealand a more expensive place to live. The country's reliance on renewable energy sources leads to increased costs for the average household. In fact, the power price has been steadily increasing over the past few years. While the government is working to find solutions to meet the growing demand for electricity, the current situation remains a significant burden for many households. The limited competition across various industries is a crucial factor contributing to the high cost of living in the country. The limited size and remote location make it challenging for the country to support a competitive market, and fewer competitors mean higher profit margins. Shipping costs are increased due to distance, and there are greater barriers to entry for new businesses. The increased expenses of importing goods and providing services to a smaller population result in higher prices for consumers. The relative wealth and limited competition within the nation further drive these costs upward. The grocery industry is a prime example of limited competition in New Zealand, with two supermarket giants, Woolworths and Foodstuffs, controlling 80% of the market. The Commerce Commission found that grocery prices in the country are high by international standards. In fact, they are the fifth highest in Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. The cost of living crisis has become one of the central matters in the October elections.
Well, we are experiencing high inflation at the moment, as are many countries at the moment, particularly because of the impacts of COVID, Ryan. So that is having an effect in a number of economies, but also is not projected to do that for a long time.
More and more people are worried about this issue and want the government to come up with a solution. There was a survey conducted in which 90% of the participants said that reducing living costs is a very important matter. The government is being urged to take concrete actions to lessen the burden on Kiwi citizens. New Zealand's healthcare system is primarily publicly funded, with the government playing a significant role in providing and regulating the quality and cost of services. The system offers universal access to public health services, which are free or low cost for citizens and permanent residents. However, the high demand for healthcare and the rising cost of medical services has made it increasingly difficult for the government to cover all expenses. expenses. As a result, many citizens opt for private health insurance as a supplement to the public system, which adds massively to the overall cost of living. Private health insurance reduces wait times and provides access to more comfortable and private facilities. The private healthcare system is dominated by Southern Cross Healthcare, which also runs a small network of hospitals and works closely with the public healthcare system. But the downside is that a huge amount of income of these citizens goes towards healthcare. The Accident Compensation Corporation is a government-funded scheme that provides personal injury coverage for all residents and visitors. Although it does help reduce the need for personal insurance, it is funded through levies on employers, employees, and vehicle owners, which also contribute to the high cost of living. The government has pledged an additional $5.4 billion in health funding over the next 4 years to address the rising cost of healthcare. The taxation system is another major contributor to the high cost of living in the country. The income tax is the primary source of government revenue, and it is a progressive tax system with rates ranging from 10% to 33%, with the highest bracket applying to individuals earning over 70,000 New Zealand dollars per year. The rising cost of living has led to concerns that the current tax system may not effectively redistribute income, leading to a greater financial burden on middle and lower income earners. The goods and services tax is a 15% tax applied to most products and services, further adding to the total. Property investors are subject to other taxes that affect the housing market and overall living expenses. An already expensive cost of living combined with soaring housing prices and these additional taxes has simply made the price of living in paradise unaffordable. To learn more about the economy of New Zealand's neighbor Australia, check out this video here. And if this video brought value to you, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing the video. Thanks for watching.